Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar. So this is going to talk about the Audit Plus opportunity, which is an EU-funded project specialising for energy-intensive industries and helping you to decarbonise and reach your goals. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to our presenters. So today from Lola Sustainability, we have Damien, who is our Chief Grants Coordinator. And with us also, we have Nihat Asay, who heads up our energy auditing. So if we can just nip to the next slide. We're going to just quickly cover, I'll just go through the items, why you need to decarbonise to meet your net zero ambitions, the importance of doing an energy auditing for decarbonisation. We're going to look at the difference between a standard audit and the actual Audit Plus, and how you actually tap into the 100 free hours of consultancy towards an energy audit. And then we're going to take you through how Audit Plus actually will help you in your decarbonisation project, and why you should also look at using a trusted energy consultancy to help you along the way. Obviously, we want you to ask as many questions as you can, so it would be great if you could put all those into the chat. We are going to wait to the end of the presentation because we don't have that much time, but we will stay on as long as it takes to answer any questions that you may have. All right, thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Zoe, and welcome to everybody who's tuning in now at the moment. Why you need to decarbonise? Well, obviously, from a legislative point of view, there's a priority for all companies and anybody who's in the energy producing sphere that they have certain targets to meet. We're all familiar with the Climate Action Plan of 51% reduction of CO2 by 2030, with a goal towards net zero for 2050. And also within that remit is the financial sanctions of not doing anything would impose a fine of 26 billion across the energy sector in Ireland for the different phases of transport, heating and generation. So all companies are going to be targeted with that fine. So the pressure is on now on the bottom line. As I say, a picture paints 1,000 words, and this is the main reason why, and it's so graphic. 50 years ago, the NASA view from of the globe itself could see that that was the picture that was painted. If we move to the image on the right of 2022, we can see more brown, which means that basically what's happened in those 50 years is that the Earth has become drier, global warming has massively increased, and the pressure now is so, based on this graphic, says, you know, we have to move forward looking at this change and transformation over 50 years. So the importance of doing an energy audit, a standard energy audit would usually cover off a baseline analysis with an identification of opportunities and maybe quick gains over a certain payback period within maybe 2 to 3 years. And that was fine in itself when we were talking about energy efficiency and doing the standard requirements for an energy audit. But because decarbonisation is a complex process, and with all those financial penalties imposed, you need a different lens totally as a result to achieve those targets. So what we're saying is that Audit Plus, which adds on from the first two steps, has a tailored roadmap, has 8 specific metrics to do with energy auditing, matching funding with private and public sources, also to do with a corporate strategy overview linked into the sustainability plan of an organization. So it's a much deeper lens covering a metric of 100 hours. So it's totally different to any audit has done before. So as you can see there, the graphic there, we're dealing with energy intensive industries, which account for about 12% of the total amount of energy consumed in the EU. So it's a high priority. So that's the sector we're going after, like pharma, asphalt, heavy industry. Whereas with the standard audit, it doesn't have that capability to scale up to meet the demands of this complex pathway needed for decarbonisation. With the partnership and Lawler Sustainability as the only partner in Ireland to work on this project with the EU, we've managed to organise it in a particular metric that 100 hours based on a suite of 8 particular topics that an organisation can prioritise from basically from cost benefit analysis to technology upgrades to engineering support with guidance on improvements to decarbonisation, along with matching funding from either EU or Irish government sources. Also linked in as the final topic then is to do with sustainability and the corporate strategy. So it's a more holistic approach that has never been developed before, but also a forensic approach that a standard audit wouldn't have been able to deliver the results that we've been coming across in our latest audits with Audit Plus. So the key thing, it's 100 hours of free energy audit time to ISO 5000 or 50002 level, which is the kind of the gold standard level for energy auditing. So that's what is being provided under this approach with the EU and with Lawler Sustainability. Nihat?
Yeah, thanks, Damien. Here I'm going to explain the typical pathway for the decarbonization. Actually, decarbonization roadmaps should be tailor-made. However, there are also certain recognized core pillars for an effective decarbonization strategy generation. Typically, the journey begins with monitoring and metering. Of course, if there is not existed system in the industrial facility, it helps organizations gain visibility into their energy consumption patterns. By understanding how and when energy is used, industrial clients became more aware of inefficiencies, enabling better behavioral control and early reductions in energy waste. The next step is energy efficiency. At this stage, we focus on reducing avoidable losses and improving the performance of utility systems. The goal is not just cost savings, but also cutting emissions at their source before moving into more advanced decarbonization solution. After establishing efficiency, transition to green electricity is the next stage we consider. Switching to renewable energy sources, either through on-site generation like solar PV, or by purchasing green electricity in order to eliminate the scope 2 emissions and strengthens energy resilience of the facility. Following this, we advance to electrification. This means converting fossil fuel dependent systems, especially those used for heating, transportation, and power generation, to electric alternatives. When powered by renewables, this shift significantly reduces the emissions and aligns with the broader climate commitments. Final step or pillar we focus on for emissions that are difficult to eliminate, especially common in heavy industrial facilities with high temperature demands. We look to biofuel options or even carbon offsetting in order to achieve decarbonization.
So to follow up on what Nihat was saying, this is a more detailed audit compared to standard audit. So it needs a trusted energy consultancy, which Lawler Sustainability have in practice for over 45 years in Ireland and abroad as a leading sustainability practice, have now developed decarbonisation as a core competency going forward in the world that we live in, and obviously to meet the challenges of 2030 and 2050 beyond. So we've had this unique privilege of learning with the EU to work with Audit Plus to develop the tools and the methodologies that we've now provided, and understood that a suite of measures of 8 steps in Audit Plus compared to the standard 2 to 3 steps in a standard audit. So that's the difference that this proposition that we're offering now is now selling or proposing as an advantage for organizations who want to decarbonize but don't know where the next point is on that journey and what tools are available. What we are saying today is that based on Audit Plus and our partnership approach with the EU, these are now the tools are now available to help them now solve this complex pathway. Thanks.
Excellent. You flew through that, guys. So I'm just we have got some questions that have come in through other channels. So there's quite a few that I'm just going to group them now. So I guess someone's just asking, someone called Jack is asking, can you expand more on the differences between an actual standard audit and Audit Plus? If I don't know who wants to pick that one up.
Yeah, I can maybe pick this. In Audit Plus, we are able to provide additional information to our clients. For instance, we can provide comprehensive analysis on any emergent technology, grants, regulatory issues like F-gas, F-gas regulations. These type of additional information can be provided under the Audit Plus support. Compared to the standard audits, our clients might be able to get more information.
And to follow on from that, Audit Plus NIHAT allows us to tie in with the organization's corporate strategy and offer them a route map for ESG going forward as well. So it's combining not just a 2 to 3 year cycle, but maybe a 10-year cycle of progress for them to chart out where they want to be to fit in with their sustainability pathway as well.
Yes, someone's asking here as well, can you actually complete an Audit Plus or energy audit in 100 hours? Is that realistic?
This depends on the size of the facility, actually. Here, under the Audit Plus, this time duration defined by the research institute we work with. For the most of the industry clients, this is sufficient. So far, we have completed several audits in the proposed time frame. But again, it depends on the facility, depends on the process, and depends on the requirements of the client. It might be insufficient.
Okay. Just to add on to that then, Nia, how do you actually allocate the 100 hours if you can't complete it in full? How would you allocate the hours?
It's hard to give certain hours because everything is quite site specific, facility specific. That's why it's difficult to give certain allocation. But typically, for a complete audit, we need 1 or 2 days, including the pre-audit preparation, data gathering. In an ideal world, 2 days for the pre-audit and the audit itself. Later on, for the remaining works, report generation, data analysis, and opportunity identification, we typically need 5 days, roughly.
Yeah.
But at all times, we're monitoring this process and tracking it with the client and giving them an update on the amount of hours that are available and left at their disposal to prioritize which measures that they want highlighted in the report at the end of the day.
Yeah, I suppose what this person's asking is, assuming that the audit, the 100 hours isn't going to cover a full audit, how will you prioritize, key points or key pieces of work in that 100 hours? How do you choose which bits to prioritize?
But I suppose NEHAP has found at certain stages halfway through the audit, having given a preliminary report, that there would be a Teams meeting then with the client to suggest prioritization and amendments for the report, and then we work on their guidance of what they see from the initial preliminary report at a halfway stage.
Yeah. Okay. This is a broader question for you guys. So Liam at Petrochem says, do you actually think we're losing the argument on decarbonisation given current global trends? I think he's saying, is it relevant as it was a few years ago, do you think?
Well, in some ways, it's probably more relevant. The problem is that there's so much background noise that's kind of put the argument to one side. But I think really the core thing is with decarbonisation and sustainability, the word that's forgotten about and the core word is innovation. That by following this pathway, companies are making themselves more fit for purpose for the challenges ahead, and sustainability really addresses how those companies will be, shaped up in years to come, their financial projections, that they won't be imposed with any fines, and also that they're adapting leading technology. So really, if it was addressed under a sphere of innovation only, you say, yes, this is the place that everybody should be. It's innovation, and that's what sustainability and decarbonisation is all about.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is just feeding on from something you said before, Damien, from Eileen. She's asking, you mentioned that it feeds into the ESG, the sustainability strategy, and that's not something a normal energy audit would do. But what would be the benefit of doing it at this level within an energy audit?
You mean the benefit of doing an ESG?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose what this audit is giving is that it's a holistic overview of the company and the projections going forward that allows an uptake for them on their ESG to have a take away from this report, that there's enough in this report for them to update their own ESG capability based on the learnings that we've gone through, and obviously the suite of measures that we've had to adopt and propose for the client based on an EU recommendation. Obviously, this is something that hasn't been tried before, because we're dealing with a sector that accounts for 12% of all the EU emissions for high-intensive energy industry. So it's something new and different, but having done the first few initial reports, they can see an uptake, and these are global companies that have locations in Ireland, so they can see an uptake straight away that they're passing them on to their own ESG department, so they can see full value and merit already from these reports.
Yeah, great stuff. I suppose this is a question just from me to you guys. I suppose if a client doesn't fall into the energy intensive industry, I mean, is there a way we can still help them as Lawless Sustainability through this scheme or in some other way?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. In that scenario, we cannot help them under this support scheme. However, there are some other available grants in Ireland. With that grants or support schemes, we can help our clients as well.
I suppose in general, what we're saying is, if you don't meet criteria for an intensive energy industry, but you're a high-scale industry that's below the heavy industry entry level, we still have an opportunity to do an energy audit for you separately.
Yeah, okay, that's great. I can't see any other questions coming in from everywhere. So if we just flip to the next slide, for those that are watching us live or watching it on catch up later, if you do have any questions, you can obviously get in touch with us just by putting a comment in the post below, or you can email us direct at grantsupport@lawlesssustainability.com, and we can pick up discussions and hopefully help you on your way with your decarbonisation journey. So just to say thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll look forward to speaking with you further. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.